Hi, I'm Kate Wyatt and welcome to Wellspring Arts and Crafts videos. Today I'm going to show you how to do needle felting, which is very popular at the moment. In our Wellspring Arts and Crafts groups, which you can find on Facebook, we've been thinking about Easter and preparing for our Easter displays. I'm going to display some things on a tree, or rather branches. I may paint them white or I might leave them natural, but I'm going to include here a picture of the one that I did last year and some of the felt creations that I made to go on it. So to start with, let me show you some of the things that we're going to create this Easter. So this is a very funky little rabbit. Here's another one. I'll pop some pictures in here so you can see a wider range as we go along. We've got an owl here. Now this owl is from, I used the design from a needle felting book which I can highly recommend, which is called Wool Buddies, as in buddies, friends, wool. And that's written by Jackie Huang, that's Huang, and she's put some absolutely fabulous designs in that book and some really simple instructions about how to make them. So that's one of her designs. I've got a range of little eggs that I'm going to show you how to create. A holding cross, and this is lovely for those of you that pray, to hold in your hand or to give as a gift to somebody who needs to feel the presence of God, because touch and feel are very powerful things. And also a heart, and I use these hearts to give as gifts as well. A friend gave me the idea, and that's a lovely thing to make and to give to somebody. But before you get to adding the detail and the colour, you need to create your base. So the bases are made from roving wool, which is quite often cheaper than the coloured wools that you use for the detail. And for the Easter decorations I'm making, I need a variety of shapes, from the ball shape, an egg shape, a heart shape, and a cross base. And these are what we make first. And this is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So what do you need in order to get started with your needle felting? These are needle felting needles, and they come in packs like this, different thicknesses. There are thick ones, medium ones and thin ones. There are actually a wider range than that, but for a beginner you just need to know about those three. And basically they are a barbed needle. If you rub your finger along, you can feel that there are little barbs on it, and what they do is they connect with the wool as you push it in, and they begin to pull the fibres together and create a matted material. And this is what you want to do. You want to create a solid shape. And once you get a little bit experienced, you can create any shape you like. So the wool that we use for the bases is a wool roving. Now they come in different grades. You can see the differences here. This is a cheaper one. This one's much more silky in feel, but they basically provide the same thing. They give you a base to work from. You can see the two differences there. Once you've covered them with the colours, actually you're not going to know what's underneath, so go for the cheaper one if you can. So you need your surface to work on, which I've got a sponge here, but there are a variety of ones available on the market. And you need your needles. Now I tend to work just with the medium and the fine one because I find those easier to work with. And if you order a set from somebody and get a variety of colours and needles and the rest of it, then you're likely to get one of these, which is for holding the needle. And basically the needle fits inside and that wedges in there, and then that's much easier for you to hold and to work with. So there's not much else that you need really. You can get multiple needles in a needle holder, but again I don't find those particularly easy to work with, so I don't use those particularly. If you get a kit, you'll also get a thimble, a leather thimble. Now this is useful for beginners, particularly if there's a particular finger you tend to jab. Now I can tell you I've been doing this for a little while now, and still I manage to jab needles into my fingers, so do be careful because it can hurt, and of course you don't want to bleed on your creation. So do use one of these if you find it helpful. I'm inclined just to find it easier to work without and put up with the occasional jabbing of fingers. Okay, so I've got my 2 needles ready in needle holders, and I'm going to show you how to make the basic shape. So you grab yourself a reasonable amount of the wool roving. We'll create an egg shape to begin with. So an egg shape is thicker at the bottom, thinner at the top. Okay, so you keep that in your mind while you're rolling up your wool. So I can see I'm going to pull it apart a little bit to create a thinner bit here and more at the bottom to roll up, and I'm going to roll it. Okay, and I'm going to fold that in a little bit. I'm going to tuck the edges in to start my shape, and then I'm going to get my medium needle and I'm going to poke it through. Now this is where you need to be careful. That's not sitting very finely in there. Let me just wedge that in again. Always work away from your fingers if you can. There will come a point where actually it's got enough shape and you start to hold it in your hand, and then you don't put the needle in as far. Okay, when you've got your sponge surface underneath, you can really whack at it and put the needle right through. Okay, but what it will do is some of the fibres will go into the sponge, so you need to keep moving it, otherwise you'll find that it's completely stuck to your sponge and you've got a very fluffy bit at the back. Now you keep moving it round and round because you want to get an even shape and you want to work from all sides. Okay, so keep moving it round and round and poking through. Now even with the medium needle here, it's not going through really cleanly. I'm going to swap to the fine one, so you might be able to tell that that actually goes through easier for me. I often only work with a fine one. If I'm using this, then I'll use a medium to start with, but most of the time I will use a fine needle. It does take longer, but I just found that I like the process better when it's not quite so aggressive. I can sit in front of the television and start to work my piece. Okay, so you can see that I've got a sort of reasonably smooth side, and then the side where I've tucked everything in. I'm going to add some more now, and I'm going to add it to the bottom and keep the top sort of fairly thin, and I'm going to wrap that round and start to build up my shape a little bit. Okay, so I'm hoping that you can see this, and it doesn't take long for you to start to get that egg shape. You can see that I'm turning it very regularly to make sure that it's not getting stuck into the back and to ensure that I'm getting a regular shape. Now, when you've started to get your wool working together in a shape, very loosely an egg shape, I'm going to teach you now something that will help you to stay on track with your shape. Okay, so the angle that you put your needle into the wool is very important. Okay, so this top bit of the egg, I want to be much more sloping. Okay, so you want your needle to go in at a 90-degree angle from the line, the angle that you want to create on your shape. So I'm coming in, let me just move that out of the way. I'm coming in at that angle at the top where I want that to be the angle of my shape, and I'm keeping turning it and keeping turning it, and it doesn't take long for you to start to see that the wool is taking on much more of that angle. Okay, now it's very soft at the moment. I'm going to keep working it for a little while, and where I want to shorten it, I'm going to work from the top just a little bit, because you can see that starts to flatten it, and I want much more of a point than that. So occasionally I'll come from the top, but mostly I'll come from that 90-degree angle to create the top of the egg shape. And when I'm working the other side, I'm going to, it's a different angle, it's not quite so steep. So I'm going to come from the bottom much more, because I want to create a nice rounded flat bottom. Okay, and I'm keeping turning it again. Now I'm going to put some music on for a little bit while I get this up to the sort of stage where it's ready to start forming some detail and adding some colour. But I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to show you the detail of each of the designs in other videos. So do check out the Facebook page and the YouTube channel for more details of the different designs if you want to follow through on a particular one. On this video I will show you how to make a round one and a cross, so that you can make your bases ready for the detail. Now what's going to happen while you're working this is it's going to reduce in size. So when you start, if you want it bigger, you just tease out some wool and wrap it round, and as I did previously, and add more. But this is going to be about the right size, I think. I'm not looking for a huge one here. You can adapt your size. And now I'm going to show you how to make the holding cross. So you want this to sit comfortably in somebody's hand. Okay, that's about the size that we're aiming for. So you need to start with your wool roving again, but you don't need quite as much for this as you do for the other shapes. And you want it to be about 4 inches across, don't do centimeters, sorry. And then you're going to roll it up one way like this. Okay, and then you're going to get your needle and start working away. It's going to be too long, that you can see. It's much longer. So when I come to having a go at the ends, I'm going to tuck them in. I'll show you what I'm doing with that. So just bunch them all together. Keep your fingers out of the way if you can of the needle, and tuck those ends in. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with the other end. Bunch them together, tuck them in, being careful not to stab yourself with the needle, and then start working up and down. And same with the others, you keep turning your work. The difference with this one is, if you can see from the finished one, it's got 4 flat sides, and I'll show you as I'm working then. It just means that you work more up and down one side, as I'm doing here, and then you turn it. and then you work the other way, and as you do work it will start to compress and push down and give you more of a rectangle shape. Then turn it again, work on the back. So as you're working it, you'll come to understand in your own mind which you think is going to be best for the front and the back, and which is going to be best for the sides. So the sides probably, they don't have to be, they can all be exactly the same, but I think on this one I'm working now, it's going to come out where the sides are slightly thinner. And we're going to just keep working this until we have a more solid shape. This is way too soft and fluffy. Okay, that needs a little bit more working on. It's still a little bit too long, but I'm going to show you now how to make the arms that come out from the side. Okay, so I'm going to put that on one side for a minute, and I'm going to get myself a small piece of the wool roving, and I'm going to roll it up, okay, until I've got what I think is about the right size. Okay, I'm going to tuck that over. Now I want to leave this side all fluffy, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm only going to work on one end of this piece. Okay. Once it starts to bulk up and starts to be more matted and more felted, and you think you've got an arm of the cross that's roughly about the right size and shape, that's going to come in there. Then what you do is you tease this bit open. Okay, just tease it right open, just up to where you've been working, so you've got like a flat bit. Then you decide which side it's going on, and then place it carefully so that you can see that's going to be in the right place for your cross shape. Now rest it down, and you're going to work in all of these fluffy bits that you left unfelted into the main body of the cross, and that is going to create your bond between the two pieces. Okay. So just keep checking that it's not moving, that you've still got it where you want it. Okay, so I'm going to speed it up and create the arm to go on the other side. I'm going to move on and show you how to do the round one, which I'm going to do with the finer. I do love working with this because it does feel beautiful in your hands, but it does tend to take a little bit longer. But it's much easier to get the roll in terms of finding your initial shape. So I'm going to roll along here. Now I'm going to do round, so I'm going to tuck in and do a little bit more, and tuck in and do a little bit more, until I'm probably about 2/3 bigger than I actually want the finished product to be. So actually it's not far off that bit that I've pulled. So now with this one I am going to use the medium one. You can see that, or you might be able to see, that it actually works better on this finer worked wool roving than it does on the other. But remember what I said, with any shape you need to keep turning it. you want your needle to be going at 90-degree angle from the shape that you're trying to create. So when I'm on either the middle line or the top or the bottom, I'm almost coming straight in, because remember, this is a sphere that we're creating. Once I've got roughly the shape, the angle will start to be the same from wherever on the piece that I'm working, but at the moment we haven't yet got a round shape. So I'm working the wool to try and create that round shape, and I'm going to play you some music, because you're going to get bored with me yabbering away, and you'll just be able to, I'll be able to speed up the video. This is not a quick craft. Okay, so this bit, making the base in particular, is going to take you some time to do. So I'm quite experienced now, but it would still take me round about 20 minutes, if not longer, to make a base shape. And that's when I'm using this. This one does make up quicker, so, and it's cheaper generally, this one. You don't always know actually which one you're going to get. This one that I really like using came in this box, so I got it off Amazon, but I'm sure you can get it from other places too. So there we go, I'm reasonably happy with that. It's not quite as smooth as this one or as round. I'm going to keep working on it a little bit more. But if you were going to, if you got to this stage, that would be perfectly workable for you to make the owl, which is worked on a round base. So here we are with the heart shape finally. And I'm going to make it in two parts, 2 teardrops, and then I'm going to piece them together. So I'm using this wool roving that I particularly like, and I'm going to measure roughly that I've got about the same length of roving, and then I'm going to start on my first half and I'm going to roll it. But this time I'm being a bit more careful about how I roll it, because I want to create more bulk at the top, less at the bottom. So I'm folding it so that it's got less there at the bottom. Okay, so, and then I'm going to start working it, and I'm going to bring, what did I do with my medium? Here it is. And then I'm going to keep turning it again, creating a teardrop shape. Okay, so that's roughly the shape that I want. Very loose at the moment still, but I want to do the other piece so that I can start to work them together. So my phone decided to run out of data and I missed a whole load of the video. But anyway, I've put those 2 pieces together, as you can see, and I've started working them together at the bottom first, and then, like we did with the cross, working across. Now you want to go to about 2/3 up, but leave that bit unworked, because this is going to create the top of the heart shape. Okay, so keep working. I'm going to speed up the video so you can see how it evolves. Okay, I'm going to keep working this. It's going to take me a while, and I will show you the finished product. You just basically keep going until you've got the size and the shape that you want. That's obviously a little bit way off yet, but I'll show you the finished product. And basically I'm just going to continue on that same principle, using the 90-degree angle to shape it and get it to go where I want it to in terms of shape. Okay, and keeping turning, and mind your fingers. So I continued working on those shapes that I started, and here they are, all 4 of them worked up into the various shapes. All, where's the heart? The egg? There we go. This egg still needs a little bit of work, but these ones I've worked on, and they're now at the point which you can add the detail. So watch out for the films, the videos on Facebook and YouTube to show you how to turn them into these. Where's my owl gone? There she is. Okay, have fun. Well, I really hope that you've enjoyed this video and that you've created something amazing. As is said several times in the video, if you want to know how to put the detail onto your bases, then watch out for more videos. We'd like to say a huge thank you to the Viney Hill Christian Adventure Centre for the way that they support us so amazingly, and also we've had some grant funding that's helped subsidise some of our work and buy equipment so we can do these videos. So that's a huge thank you to the Forest of Dean District Council and also to the Gloucester Diocese through the Life Development Fund.